Since I was first diagnosed, I have done 60 over chemo sessions. I go for scans every quarter to make sure that chemo is effective.
They gave me the rituximab drug, and then there was huge hives. So for the remainder of my chemo rounds, I was warded.
The pee was no longer brown, it was actually a bright red.
Cancer spread to the lymph nodes.
The main priority is to get the best treatment. We will find the money no matter what.
Leading into the diagnosis, actually, I was very, very fit. I just come out of a pre-season training block. After getting a diagnosis, like a switch flip. I feel very, very low energy, then I will sleep a bit more. For a regular person, when you fall sick, it's like you kind of like, okay, I'm sick now, then there's a very clear window, chicken pox, like 1 week, 2 weeks, and then you're done. But for this one, because you don't have a clear window, therefore this is something that's every day is on your mind, whether or not it's emotional, mental, or physical. Even my body is different to what I knew before.
So he did 4 cycles of ADC.
On the surface, it looks like it's the same treatment as traditional chemo. We sit there for half a day and we get an injection. Traditional chemo being more like carpet bombing. For ADC, it's a bit more like a homing missile, which is why it's supposed to be more targeted. You will also hope there's a good chance of efficacy and hopefully less side effects also lah. Every time I look at it, I'm just like, whoa, this is like 20K. Like, to our understanding, ADC not being on the considered list means there's no subsidies.
Pretty much all of it was covered by the rider from his insurance, like a critical illness plan where that lump sum is just given out. Otherwise, we would have had to pay out of pocket for it. It would have been about 80 to 100K.
Without the rider, I think might not have been possible. 2 weeks into ADC, being completely like inactive, like without running or doing any other kind of fitness training, I was concerned about whether or not I'll ever be able to train again. After ADC, roughly about 2 weeks from then, I started exercise walking. Still felt tired and breathless. So 10 minutes, I walked on, 10 minutes came back. And then the next week, I increased it by 5 minutes and just kept increasing it. And once I hit 40 minutes of walking, then I will try jogging. I think my first jog was maybe about 20-25 minutes. And then from there, I started gradually increasing to 30 minutes, 40 minutes. From day one, I really knew that I wanted to continue running marathons.
Our goal is to complete 6 of the major marathons together.
We never asked how long would we have left to live, right? The doctors included all think that she's kind of a walking miracle.
We have many different family chat groups, but the one primarily that we use for Hui when it comes to caregiving, we call it Hui's Diet and Caregivers.
Yeah, in our team of caregivers, which is the 5 of them, we have the brains. So the brains would be Ling and Bob. Why they're the brains is because they're the ones who are normally at every medical consult. Say there's like scan results or decisions that have to be made. Because sometimes I do get a bit overwhelmed, so they help me kind of process it, break it down, explain it into more layman terms. We have the drivers, who are Mum and Sue. They're the drivers and the chefs, and then Ting is the nurse. Hers and Bob's role is to help me with the stoma changes and the injections after chemo.
So what I do is I come over, we just take it out of the fridge and we inject. Sometimes there's a little bit of...
I'm like, Ting.
And I'm like, just tough it up. We have to do it anyways. So we've done that.
Whereas Bob is very cautious. He's like, sorry.
I don't think anybody teaches you how to do caregiving. The reason why it helps us and makes a bit of this journey a lot easier is because we know that Hui is also fighting. I'm sure each of us have our own moments where we find it really disheartening, tough, painful, right? I can remember myself crying myself in the car alone because it's so difficult. Sometimes you go to a treatment, sometimes you learn bad news. It's like, wow, what is going on.
I mean, they always see me at my worst, especially after chemo. That's when I am cranky, grumpy, short-tempered, tired. See things nodding away. Because she's like, yeah, I've been through that. So they've learned to be patient with me as well.
Growing up, we always used to call her Princess. This is actually a name that our helper sort of gave her, and that's because of the four of us. Hui was the gentlest, the most girly.
The nickname has changed to Warrior
She's Warrior
Princess.
Princess now. She's still Princess, but she's Warrior Princess. I do think that these trials have only brought us closer together. We now make a real effort to clear our schedules, prioritize spending time together, and not take that for granted.
Did I cover everything correctly?
When I was in chemotherapy, my father was the one who ferried me to and from the hospital. So this is my room where I used to stay when I lived with my dad. I was here doing my chemotherapy. So when I come out of hospital, after infusion, I'll go straight to bed. And then I will have the nausea. It'll get really bad. So I will go to the toilet, I'll hug the toilet bowl, puke. And then I will go back to the bed, lie down, and then I will need to puke again. And then I'll go back. And then we'll keep repeating it for the next 2 or 3 days. I'll go at least 10 to 20 times a day.
They got it, right?
Yeah, they got it. During chemotherapy, my father was my main caregiver because of what the chemo was doing to my body. I couldn't walk unattended.
Actually, being there is a very important part of caring for someone. I was present at all his medical appointments, asking questions from the doctors.
He'll help me get food at home, keep an eye on me, make sure I'm okay, taking my medicine. I'm very grateful that he was around.
And then he was going for post-treatment activities because physically he was already recovering. When he said thank you to me, I just told him, "You're my son."
The chemotherapy went quite smoothly. The tumor in my armpit had gone. The large tumor in my abdomen had gone from 6 to 2 cm. Full remission would have been nice to have no evidence of disease, but my cancer is a slow-growing, indolent cancer that is, at this point, incurable. Even if I was in full remission, the likelihood would be they would just grow back over time.
How's life nowadays?
Haven't wound down for the year yet. There's still quite a lot of stuff I have to finish. I mean, this is my peak period.
I do worry because the nature of his work. It is stressful. To be sure of his physical status, I would then have regular meals with him to ascertain, is he being affected? Do you feel that there's like lump and all that?
I do check. I check quite often.
But there is always a nagging concern. Will there be a relapse?
I will have to live with the possibility of a relapse for the rest of my life.
There's still a lot of uncertainty. How long is my lifespan going to be? If I relapse, what happens?
The only way I won't relapse is if I die by some other cause. Because I'm still young, the doctor said I can wait out and see what medical technologies would be there when I relapsed. So the hope was there would be a treatment much closer to a cure than at the time. In Singapore, there are not many people around my age with follicular lymphoma. So it's been hard to get resources from another patient. So I found a Facebook group called Living with Follicular Lymphoma, and it's got all kinds of patients of follicular lymphoma. If I relapse, I think my biggest concern is that the chemotherapy I did the last time won't work. I'll be trying different kinds of chemotherapies, and my body will have to undergo a lot of stress and pain over a prolonged period of time. I found out from, I think, American patients, there was something called chimeric antigen receptor T-cell therapy. I have been reading up quite a lot about the therapy.
and they were saying that they had recovered completely from follicular lymphoma. It's too soon to know whether it's a complete cure, but it sounds like a very effective treatment. So the cost of CAR T-cell therapy is roughly about $1 million Singapore dollars. The cancer drug list from the Ministry of Health was announced prior to the introduction in 2022. The cancer drug list is supposed to be a method of lowering costs for Singaporeans by allowing only proven drug treatments. It is given a table of allowable treatments and drugs to a specific type of condition. My national health insurance, the MediShield, and my private insurance will not cover the treatment if it's not on this list. CAR T-cell therapy is not listed on the cancer drug list because it's not a drug. It's a targeted therapy. In 2024, the Ministry of Health introduced a new list. It's called the Cell, Tissue and Gene Therapy Products List, which is a list that includes non-drug therapies, which CAR T-cell therapy is on. However, because it is a linked list between treatment and condition, my particular cancer is not on the list. So right now, I don't know if I relapse, will I be able to access CAR T-cell therapy with insurance and subsidy?
My grandma's house used to be on Emerald Hill. I spent a lot of time there, and the Orchard Road Christmas decor has always been a thing. Every year during that time, we'll walk down to have a look. So I feel that this year spoke to me a lot more. Everyone says time is precious, time is limited. But since the diagnosis, I'm appreciating things a bit more. While nothing has really changed with my family in terms of festival celebrations, but I think now I see my family more regularly than I would have previously before.
When we first learned about his cancer, of course, we were very shocked. And we asked ourselves, how did this happen? Well, because it's so fake.
Eugene hardly falls sick. We never thought that he would get cancer.
When we went to the hospital and we saw him, both of us were shocked to see him in that condition. We just could not react.
He lost a lot of weight. He looks very, very weak. Yes, I get very emotional when I think about it. He needs to just concentrate on getting well. You're not supposed to be eating this. I'm going to take it from you. He has to be careful, of course, of his diet. This is no cold cuts. Okay, that's it. Oh, never mind.
Along this cancer journey for Eugene, a lot of people have a lot of comments. What to eat, what not to eat, what to do, what not to do, don't run so much. I mean, obviously with good intention. But at the end of the day, it's his decision and it's his life and how he wants to lead it.
Oh no, it's not. When I look at Christmas bauble or something, and I cannot help it, I will think myself, I don't know if I'll ever get a chance to use this, so I will faster use it now. It's a balance that I have to find, trying to plan forward while having this at the back of the end. Races is one of them. So Taipei Marathon is interesting. I actually got the slot for Taipei before my diagnosis. Now the only question was whether I'll be able to run it or not and train for it. I set that as a goal for myself, knowing that Taipei, if I was able to run it, it was going to be the longest distance I run and also the first official race I run since diagnosis.
So today I am actually packing for an upcoming trip to Japan. So whenever I go on holiday, I have to pack all the stoma supplies that are needed. I basically change my stoma bag every 5 days. I do have a stoma, right? So because of the cancer, when I had surgery in 2020, we had to remove the large intestine. I basically don't go to the bathroom like an ordinary person. You can see there's a hole here, so this is where the stoma opening would be. The bag goes on, the bag gets attached here. So essentially, if you imagine it sits like this, the waste that comes out drops into the bag, and then I can go to the washroom whenever the bag is full. This would be my 8th trip upcoming to Japan. It's safe, it's clean, and they do have very stoma-friendly washrooms with a foldable bed for you to lie down if you need to change your stoma. Travel has been, a huge thing that I look forward to, and in a way keeps me going for every treatment. Unfortunately, we never know when something's going to happen, and there have been occasions in the past where I have booked the trip, and then unfortunately due to hospitalization or infections or treatment where I've had to cancel it. So this is where I keep my all my medical scans and reports. I keep them inside this heavy bag. I've got a collection of the scans and reports I've done in the last 4 years. So these are 2 of the scope reports. Over the past 4 years, I do go for my routine scans to kind of keep track of how things are and to also give the doctors a sense of whether the treatment I'm on is working or not. But the scopes are only done as and when we find something new going on in the stoma. A couple of weeks ago, during our routine stoma change, my husband actually found that there was a new nodule growing on the stoma. So that's when, we informed the doctors and we decided that we should play it safe and go for a scope. They will insert sort of like a tube. It has a camera, if I'm not wrong. And then from there, they get to go inside the stoma and have a look. So here are some pictures of some of the scopes I've done in the past, and you can see the inner lining of the stoma. So this is useful for the doctors to have a look whether there is excessive blood, is there oozing, are there tumours. So for the upcoming scope I'm going for, I'm actually going to be doing 2 scopes. So one is for the stoma, which is obviously because of the nodule. And my doctors have actually recommended that I do a scope for the stomach as well, because back in 2023 I had a stomach tumour and I had gone for radiation. So they do want to monitor and see, how the stomach is healing, whether there's, any ulcers or whether there's any bleeding. I guess whenever I have to go for a scope, I'm always quite nervous. Is it going to be something that's serious? Is this going to change my treatment to something stronger? So yeah, I always am filled with fear, dread, worry, always hoping that the results will be okay.
These are all my running shoes. I've got shoes for speed, shoes for easy run days, speed endurance, and also for trail. I like to customize my shoes and draw on them. So for the current journey I'm on, I actually drew one here that says Ciao Caleb. Caleb was the name that I gave my cancer. This was a drawing of Caleb. So about 2.5 months after official diagnosis and ADC, then I completed my first 10K run. When I finally hit my first 1 hour of running, it was during the race against cancer. And that was a quite key milestone since diagnosis. So over here, I've got a bunch of the medals. These 2 over here are from World Marathon Major in Berlin. Over here, Boston. An empty space will be for Taipei. Taipei for me will be significant because it's going to be the first race I've done since being diagnosed.
After chemotherapy, one of my last hard news jobs was the Trump-Kim Summit. We ran through traffic set up at the corner of Scott and Patterson. And then we got the first shot of Kim in Singapore. The media just waiting for like 12 to 18 hours for a car to go by. It was non-stop for the next 4 days. We barely slept. This kind of hard news, the stress of not getting it, the competition of having 300 to 400 media all waiting for the same shot. After chemo, my body just felt wrong. I just knew at the time I couldn't do this again. For the first few years, my body got tired more easily. My heat tolerance became very different. I generally didn't like the feeling of the adrenaline anymore that I used to enjoy. I came to the realization that all this stress was probably going to start my relapse sooner than later. So I started doing more commercial work. Today is the Light to Night Festival at the National Gallery. I'm here to photograph some of the artwork. As a commercial photographer, my life is a lot more organized. Because I can plan when the things happen, I think for me it's less stressful. I think it's better suited to my body now. I enjoyed the nature of commercial work as I slowed down. I also paid better.
Hey, what's up, man? Yo. So today I'm meeting my friend, who's also my client, for a financial planning appointment. We used to be photojournalists together. As a media freelancer, there's a lot of uncertainty about finances and planning. I actually become a financial planner. I'll get extra income, or sometimes my main income.
So when Joe told me and my friends when he got his diagnosis, he was very resilient from the start.
It's like dating.
Being an ex-freelancer myself, I know that income supplement can be hard. Having that extra income is definitely a plus point lah.
I just got back from the hospital. I went in for 2 scopes today, one for my stomach and one for my stoma. So I went for the stoma scope because there was a nodule that we had noticed. The doctors aren't too worried about the nodule. I think unfortunately when they were doing the stomach scope, the surgeon found that there's sort of like a new growth inside the stomach. So he's actually taken some biopsy and sent it for testing. So we'll get the results in a couple of days. The biopsy results will confirm whether the cells at the stomach area are cancerous or not. In the meanwhile, the plan is for me to do a PET scan as soon as possible. The scans will tell us whether there are new cancer spots. Initially, we didn't plan for this stomach scope actually. So I'm thankful that my doctors were very cautious, knowing that there is likely going to have to be a change in my treatment. I feel worried.
All right, I'm gonna just feel your neck. So you mentioned that you still feel a little bit of a lump.
So based on the scan, the combination of ADC and immunotherapy is not working well in your situation.
The first option for you would be chemoimmunotherapy again.
In particular, the lung areas are getting worse. I would strongly recommend stopping this treatment